Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Peace Podcast. This is season 3, episode 19. Just give me the ability to celebrate my journey, whatever that looks like. And so oftentimes we get into a space where it's really difficult for us to celebrate our own journeys, to be able to celebrate our successes, to be able to even deem what we're doing as a success because we're so busy looking at the highlight reel of other people. And there's no irony that falls on the fact that I'm recording this episode on Mother's Day because I feel like as mothers, we do this very often to ourselves. So we'll see other moms on social media, and I know that I've done this before. You're having a chill weekend at home with your kids. You've been running all week to practices and school events and back and forth to everything that they need to do. And so you're having a chill week at home, you're having movie day or just lounge around the house day, and your kids are maybe watching TV with you, scrolling, watching board games, and you happen to open up your social media and you see that some other mom in a not so far away place is taking her kids to go do the fun things like a water park or an amusement park or the movies or pottery place, or maybe they've done two things this weekend, two different activities this weekend, and maybe she even found some time to go to the winery for herself, and you sit in agony thinking, oh my gosh, I've ruined my kids' entire lives because they're lounging at home and they don't have the opportunity to go to all these places because I'm just exhausted and I don't have the energy, strength, or even any more grit inside of me to produce anything else this week because of what I've done during the week. And it's not just with motherhood, but motherhood is a very significant and impactful place that we do this, where we forget that peace is found in accepting, not comparing. So accept that maybe your kids are perfectly fine with taking that weekend and just chilling. Accept that maybe your life isn't supposed to look like what you thought it was supposed to look like. And even though that person on your scroll has all of the things that you thought were for you, it doesn't mean that what you're doing is any less significant. Accepting that you don't look like them, accepting that your life isn't like them, accepting that your family system doesn't operate the same as theirs, and accepting that fair is just a social construct because fair doesn't exist. One thing is that fair is determined by the person who's looking through the lens, right? So my fair isn't going to look like somebody else's lens. But then two, also understanding that fair does not mean everybody gets the same thing because life doesn't look like that. And when God designs our lives, He gives us what is supposed to be for us, and He gives us the gifts that we're supposed to have to enact that plan. And so if everybody got the speaking gig of a lifetime, it still wouldn't be fair because there are going to be people who are not gifted to speak on a stage and are going to be like, oh my gosh, public speaking is the worst thing that I could think of doing on a regular random Saturday. And then there will be people like me who would be like, give me that stage because I would love to get up there and share my testimony about what God has done for me. So that is why we have to stop doing the thing where we are looking for our lives to be just as much of a highlight reel as everyone else's, when one, that's not the full reality of their lives, and two, comparison is the thief of joy because you're continuing to look at other people, think that that's supposed to be your life, instead of accepting that you were given exactly what you were supposed to be given, that your life is exactly the way that it's supposed to be, in order for you to get exactly where you're supposed to be next. And there have been so many times where I know that I've looked at somebody on social media and I've been like, oh my gosh, look how good of a mom she is, or look how good of a speaker she is, or look how many speaking gigs she's getting, or look how, she's so well put together, or look at her outfits, or look at her body, and look at her diet plan. And then months later, you find out that they're not even following the diet plan. They've gotten plastic surgery. They're not actually a kind mother. You've seen these stories on Netflix documentaries where these people are just abusive to their kids, but they make it look like they're good people. And I'm not saying that all of the stories that we compare ourselves to are going to end up that way. But what I am saying is that when you have relationship goals, body goals, hashtag all of these things, you're looking at the person through the portal in which they want you to see them. And that is heavily filtered and heavily crafted in order for you to see what they want you to see. But there's something you can do. There's a mindset that you can shift so that it doesn't matter what they're posting, you are 100% okay with the experience that you're living. Because constantly measuring yourself against another person will, without a doubt, disrupt your peace. Because what you find peaceful, what you find acceptance in, what you find joy in will start to change when you're using their fake measuring stick, because the measuring stick doesn't exist, to measure your level of success, your level of being a good insert title here. If you're using a measuring stick that doesn't exist and comparison is the only tool that you have, you are always going to have your peace disrupted. Because once you reach the goal that you've obtained or that you've set for yourself because of what this person is doing, there's always going to be a new person doing something else, and you're going to then change your goal to match your comparison to that other person. And then when you reach what that other person is doing, then you're going to set a goal to match this other level of comparison. And you will never have joy in the journey when you're consistently looking to steal, take, or mimic someone else's journey. That is going to disrupt your peace. Another thing is allowing for them to tell you what your journey should look like is the recipe for devaluing your unique path. Because when other people tell you what you're good at, when other people tell you what you should be doing, when they should all over you, when other people give you an idea of what a good life looks like, then you start to create a life that tries to present that to other people. So you go on the trips and you do the things with your kids, but you're doing it with gritted teeth and a fake smile because that is not the unique path that you're on. You know, one of the best birthday parties that I ever had for my youngest was last year when we did an old school / it wasn't a themed party, but it was an old school / 90s birthday party. Remember the ones that we had when we were kids? And I'm dating myself, but if you're 42 like me, you'll recognize this, where we did games in the backyard and we ran around and we did duck, duck, goose and ring toss and played sports, and that was considered a birthday party. Well, that's the birthday party that I threw for him last year, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most amazing birthday parties that he had, and it was because we made it simple. It was our unique party. It didn't need to be a Pinterest board. It didn't have to have, and I used to be that mom. Everything had to be curated for the Pinterest board. It all had to look themed and the same and have all of the place cards. And I'm not knocking you if you're that mom, but I can tell you that he appreciated that party last year. So this year when we talked about his party, he stuck with the simplistic theme. Now, you know that he has experienced his other birthday parties, those other ones that were more done up. And this year he chose a soccer party. So he just wants to go to the soccer field where he plays his soccer games on Saturday, and he wants to have a soccer game with all of his friends there. And that's the simplicity of being able to create uniqueness in your path. It doesn't have to look like what other people think it should. It doesn't have to be pinnable on Pinterest. It doesn't have to be shareable on Instagram. It doesn't have to be this curated life that fits into this mold that everybody says is the standard. Because the reality is your unique path is the joy. Your unique path is the should. Your unique path is exactly where you're supposed to be. And so if you want to value that uniqueness, if you want to value the life that is exactly crafted for you, then you have to stop looking at what other people say your journey should be and start finding joy and value in the part of the path that you're on today. Because when you compare yourself to other people, what you're really doing is dismissing the beauty of your experience by wanting theirs. And so you can't have a heart of gratitude if you are dismissing the beauty inside of your experience because you want their experience to be your own. You're jealous and envious that they've had this thing that you've been longing for quite some time. And so you can't be grateful when you're always striving for something different. And I tell my kids this all the time. It's like something that I consistently say to them. If you keep moving the measuring stick, then you'll always want more. But if you have a heart of gratitude, you can be grateful for the fact that you have what you have. And because they don't know any better, they don't know a home where home cooked meals aren't cooked for you every night. They don't know a home where your laundry isn't finished and you don't have clean clothes. They don't know a home where it's not clean and there's dirt and grossness everywhere. They don't know that life. So they don't appreciate what they have right now because they don't have hearts of gratitude because they don't know what else they could be experiencing. But as adults, we do. We know what our lives could look like, but God. We know how terrible and muddy and murky some of the situations that we've been through have been, but God. So if you start to dismiss the beauty of your unique experience, what you'll find is that your heart of gratitude starts diminishing because you can't be appreciative of the things that you've been given when you consistently want more of the things that they've been given. Because you're doing the comparison thing and you cannot celebrate your own unique journey when you're consistently comparing what you have to what you don't. Because you're always going to want more. You're never going to feel fulfilled. You're never going to find joy in the journey when all you want is the junk that they have on their social media. It just doesn't happen. So what are some things that we can do? Actionable steps, mental spaces that we can be in to help us foster self-appreciation, because that is really difficult. It's hard to appreciate the body you've been given when your social media algorithm is showing you all of these women in their 20s who've never had children, who are, 2% body fat and lean and doing all the things. It's hard to appreciate your body when maybe there are some moms on there, but they've had plastic surgery, or their jobs are to create this content. And so they're constantly on social media recording videos because they're always in the gym. Maybe you're comparing yourself to some people who are on Ozempic or Trizepatide or whatever this drug is. And again, not knocking their journey or their story, but maybe that isn't yours and you're comparing yourself to the way their body looks because they can now lose weight and you can't. None of that is fostering self-appreciation. You can appreciate yourself while still wanting more for yourself. You can appreciate the way you look now while also wanting to get more fit. The way that you measure it is what starts to whittle away at that self-appreciation. If I measure my own success by how much I look like her, then I can't appreciate me because I'm trying to be her. But if I measure my level of success by how strong I am and how much my body can move and how much more weight it can lift or how many more miles it can walk or whatever your fitness of choice is, then I can foster self-appreciation because the only person that I'm comparing myself to is me. So the ways that we start to foster self-appreciation, the first thing is you have to get off of autopilot. I can't tell you how many times I've said, well, I do the things that I do because I have to. And there's nothing special about what I do because it's just what you do when you're a mom. Not thinking about the fact that you can be a mom and then also not do the things that I do. You can be a mom and do more than what I do. And so you have to appreciate what you do with what you've been given, what you do with your unique story, what you do with your journey, because not everybody's going to do what you do. And just because you're on autopilot doesn't mean that there's no space for gratitude for yourself. There's no space for appreciation of what you've done with your journey. I mean, if you look at my story and you think, okay, mom at 18, about to turn 19, been a mom for almost 24 years. There is a level of overwhelm inside of that space, but I graduated college. I graduated with my master's degree. I'm pretty successful in my craft. And so you think about all of this, and when you're on autopilot, you don't appreciate it because you're like, that's what I'm supposed to do. I was supposed to be successful. I was supposed to feed my kids. I was supposed to make a way for them. But not everybody makes that way, and not everybody has the grit and determination to make that happen. So in order to appreciate me, I have to get off of autopilot and say, wow, I need to get into the precious present moment and see things in their natural occurring state for what they are. Yes, the past happened and I can appreciate all of those things, but also like presently, here's what's going on. Here's what I'm doing every day for my family. Here's the emotional intelligence that I'm building in my children. Here's the testimony that I'm sharing today and helping somebody. And when you do that and you get yourself off of autopilot, you start to appreciate the beauty that you bring. Only you. The only person who can bring it is the you that you are. The beauty that you bring into a dynamic situation because you are you. The other thing is, and this kind of aligns with that, is when you get off of autopilot, you're going to start to recognize your greatness. And you can't foster self-appreciation until you do. Recognize all of the value that you bring to a space and all of the goodness that you're putting out into the world. Even if that's the way you do your daughter's hair in the morning, or the conversations you have in the car on the way to school, or the way you pack their lunches. Excuse me. Or the way that you play with them outside in the evening, or the way you let them help you with making dinner. Whatever it is, recognize the greatness that you bring to the space that you're in, because that is important, it is valuable, and it is something that until you do it, you will not start appreciating who you are and what you do. And the last thing is, we have to learn to clap for them and us, even if they look different. So I'm going to clap for her because she's excelling in the thing that she set out to do. And then I'm going to clap for me, even though what I'm doing is completely different than what she's doing. Because both of those stories are beautiful. Both of those journeys are bringing the person joy and the people around them joy. Both of those experiences deserve to be celebrated because though unique, they are still beautiful. They are still fractals that are making other people's stories good. And so I can clap for them and then also clap for me. I can clap for the experience that I'm having, the joy inside of that experience, the greatness inside of that experience. And that's where I will find the peace that exists in accepting that this is my story, these are my gifts, this is who I am, and I'm not going to compare myself to other people. And if you're sitting in a space on the day after Mother's Day and you're thinking to yourself, well, all of these moms are sharing their experience about where they were taken on Mother's Day and the brunches they were taken to and the gifts they were given, or maybe they booked themselves a hotel room because they wanted to be alone and the people around them valued that and gave them that experience. Or maybe they were showered with gifts by their significant other. And maybe you're sitting in a space where you're a single mom and all you have are your kids. Or maybe you're not a single mom, but your significant other doesn't appreciate you the way that you wish that they would. Today, I want to encourage you, specifically at the end of this podcast, to understand that one day they will. And this is part of the beauty of your unique journey, which is you are in a space where you get to go through a season where you get to show them the beauty of the love that you have for them. And eventually, You're going to get to a space where you start to notice, trust me because I have an almost 24-year-old, you start to notice that those things that you did that you felt were small and insignificant actually meant something large and meaningful to them. So even if it doesn't feel like it's what everybody else is getting, even if it feels like it's a thankless job, I promise you that you just have to be patient because one day your kids are going to see. Think about all of those drafted NFL players who turned to their mom and gave them the biggest hug because they appreciated the level of push that their mom put in them. So if your unique story has you in a space where maybe you don't feel as appreciated today, just know that I appreciate you. Just know that I know the level of push and determination that it takes, and that one day your kids will see it too. So keep persevering, keep doing what you're doing, and keep appreciating your own self for doing it because it is going to pay off one day. If this message resonated with you and you want to share it with someone else, please feel free to share this video, send them to my socials, like and subscribe to my pages, because we know that knowledge gained and kept to ourselves is selfish, but knowledge gained and shared with the world may just be what they need to change the experience that they're in and to break free from the bondage that they've been experiencing for decades. I appreciate you for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time.